Hey everybody, and welcome to another Star Citizen video. My name is Scary Spikes, and in today's video I'll be giving you my top 5 picks for the best new features in Alpha 317 and Star Citizen. Before we get started though, a huge thank you to all of my channel members, and especially Shadowman, who is supporting me at the VIP Gold contributor level. Shadow, thank you so very much, and if you'd like to help support what I do as well, you can do the same by becoming a channel member down below by clicking the blue join button right next to the red subscribe button, or you can follow the link to my Patreon, which is down in the description below. If you do find the video helpful, it really helps me out if you drop a like and become a subscriber, as well as ring the bell so that you never miss a video in the future. I also do stream live on Twitch Wednesdays and Fridays at 8 PM Eastern, and of course you can catch me on Discord all the time. The links for all of those will be down below. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy the video. Let's get into it. Now, loot is almost always a deciding factor in how many hundreds of hours we put into our favorite games, and it's going to change in a big way in 317. One of the biggest ways, of course, is that loot is going to be a lot more varied. We're not going to be able to find as much of it in stores, and we'll be forced to start looking around for it, believe it or not. We'll have to do a little bit of exploration, and what's kind of interesting is that certain pieces of loot will be unique to certain locations, which means things that you'll be able to find in Hurston might not appear anywhere else in the system. And of course, I'm sure that'll become more varied as new systems are introduced, as we're looking forward to Pyro later on this year, which should be extremely exciting. Now, running around the system like a headless chicken and infinitely looking for the best loot everywhere doesn't really carry as much weight as it would if we had some kind of rarity to that. And what's really interesting is that is something, according to one of the most recent Inside Star Citizen episodes, that we'll be getting in 3.17. Notably, we're going to be getting 3 different types of rarities, and that'll start with uncommon, common, and rare. Of course, the higher the rarity, the more difficult it is to find, with them saying specifically that the rare ones will be very difficult to find as they'll have very low spawn rates. But what's really cool is that we'll be able to have this option, this chance to have some really rare stuff that other people just don't have and can't just go down to their nearest shop to buy. Now, let me know in the comments if you feel the same way about this that I do, but honestly, I've been waiting a very long time for this next part, and that is, finally, we're going to have the ability to sell the loot that we gather to vendors all around the system. Now, what's really cool about this is that there's going to be a dynamic scale of pricing, at least to start out with. I'm sure this is something that they're going to tweak down the road, where the product will sell for about 90% of the cost of what the vendor would otherwise sell it for, as long as it's something that they need and the rarity is high enough. And it'll go down to as little as 50% of the price of that product that the vendor would sell it at if they already have quite a bit of that product and maybe it's also not as rare. This is really awesome though, because it means that all of this time spending, exploring, searching, looting, and bringing stuff back means that we can finally sell those items and maybe also even clear out some of our inventory, which I've been waiting to do forever. Finally, I want to talk about the brand new UI, because there will be a new user interface for all of this happening in 317, and that's going to be really awesome. There's a brand new buttons, and it's laid out in a slightly more intuitive way, which I really like. And there's going to be a quick sell button, which is great, although we have been warned that there is no buyback feature, so we do have to be extremely careful about that. The last thing, of course, that I want to mention is, I know it probably goes without saying, but every vendor isn't going to want everything. And they're probably only going to be interested in stuff that they sell and can potentially resell to other people. What's really cool about this, though, is it's going to be the perpetuator of the first inklings of an economy within Star Citizen. And that, for me, is very, very exciting. All right, let's go ahead and move on to my next favorite feature of 317, and it's one that I talked about back in my 314 video, if you remember that. I'll link that in the top right-hand corner if you haven't seen that just yet. And that is medical gameplay and the improvement of medical gameplay. There's a lot of new things that are coming to medical gameplay in 317, so let's just talk about those really quickly. And one of the first things, of course, is bleeding out and the amount of time that takes. For any of you guys who have ever been shot or stubbed your toe or anything in between, you know that bleeding out happens way too quickly in 316.1, and it's something that CIG has addressed in 317. At least they've made it a little bit better. Next is a little bit less important, but I think just as prominent, and that's of course stat persistence. What I mean by that is, for example, your thirst, your hunger, and your health, among other stats, which will now persist between game sessions. The last thing, of course, is something that is very exciting for me, specifically because Loreville is one of my favorite places in all of Stanton, and that's finally that Loreville will be getting its own hospital. Maria, Pure of Heart, is coming in 3.17. I'm very excited about it because it's honestly one of the most beautiful looking hospitals in the game. Full stop. No longer do you have to go to Orison and suffer a slideshow just to get that leg repaired. You can go ahead and go to Loreville now, which is a lot more centrally located, and I think that is something that a lot of people are going to appreciate. Alright everybody, so let's talk about the most exciting thing that everybody is here for, and of course that is the ships. And we have two lined up for 317, which are going to be quite exciting for a variety of different players. First of all, we've got the Hull A. This is the entry-level ship in the Hull series from Misk. And then, of course, we've got the venerable RSI Scorpius, which should hopefully make it into 317, fingers crossed. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the Hull A first. A very interesting ship and the first entry in the Hull series from Misk in their dedicated cargo hauling series. Now, of course, we have other hulls to look forward to, including the B, C, D, and E, each progressively larger and larger as we go up the ladder in the alphabet. But of course, categorically speaking, I think they're also going to have some of the best in-class hauling capacity as compared to any of their competitors. There is always a price to pay, though, and in this case, it's the fact that you're going to have to store all of that cargo on the outside. So an escort or a convoy is basically going to be a no-brainer and a requirement when you're flying one of those ships. If we look on the inside, though, we're going to see a lot of the hallmarks of the Freelancer, and honestly, I'm kind of getting baby Freelancer vibes here in the Hull A. I really do like the way that the cockpit is designed, including the viewport, which feels a little bit more refined from the Freelancer, and of course also the dash is always really nice. In my opinion, I think that Misk is one of the best companies in terms of making a good, solid, nice, roomy, cozy, and homey feeling crew compartment. And of course on the Hull A, we're only going to get a crew compartment for one, but that's okay. It just feels really nice with the warm lighting and the soft, smoothed over edges. It just makes it feel really relaxing. So being on the road, so to speak, for a very long time, it's always good when your spaceship can make you feel like you're at home. The next ship that I want to talk about here is the venerable RSI Scorpius, and I cannot wait for this ship. Now, other than giving some of the Star Wars nerds in the community a bit of an X-Wing boner, this thing's got enough firepower to make a Anvil Hurricane blush. Honestly, this thing is really strong looking for its size and its speed, and I'd be remiss to say that I wasn't thinking about how badly it's going to get nerfed a few weeks after it comes out. Definitely going to be a very interesting ship. I'm looking forward to it. Do leave me your thoughts on the Scorpius down below and whether you've picked one up when it was available not too long ago. So this next part probably doesn't come as a surprise, especially to the eagle-eyed of you who saw the foreshadowing in the earlier stages of this video. But the next thing I want to talk about is ship-to-ship refueling, and I think it's going to create a whole new dynamic of gameplay between players that has never ever before been seen in Star Citizen, and is going to be super fun for everybody involved. So in order to get started with ship-to-ship refueling, of course, you are going to need a tanker, and that is only going to be available in the form of the Starfarer and the Starfarer Gemini. At the very beginning, of course, you'll need to go into the improved service menu with brand new UI that's going to facilitate you putting that fuel into the fuel pods that you have in the back of your ship. The next stage, of course, is going to be to wait for a call. Someone's going to be either out of hydrogen or quantum fuel, or somehow out of both, and you'll need to go and help them out. Now, of course, you'll need to make sure that you have all the fuel on board and head out to them. And before you do that, you'll also need to set your prices, which is really cool. So you'll be paying the station a set fee for quantum or hydrogen fuel, whatever you happen to need. But then using that same interface, you can actually set the prices that you want to charge the people that are going to be docking with you. At that point, what they'll need to do is dock with your ship by using a boom arm in the back. And then, of course, they'll just be taking on fuel. Go ahead and separate whenever you're done and go your merry ways. I think that's really going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait to try it in the new patch. Finally, the last thing that I want to talk about is something that I think a lot of you industrialists out there will really appreciate. I want to talk to you guys about mining gadgets, because they are coming, and they are going to make a big difference. I'm really excited to see some of these new tools come into play because it's going to allow solo miners to get so much more done. The tools are said to work in a similar way to the current consumables that we already enjoy, and that is to say that some of them might help you to get through a bigger rock, others might help to expand that green zone a little bit, and so on. So picking the right tool for the job is definitely going to be crucial. One of the things to consider, though, is that you're going to be quite a bit more vulnerable while you're doing that, as you'll need to leave your ship in order to be able to put that mining tool on the actual rock itself. What's really cool, too, is that there is going to be a little bit of a mini game involved where you'll have to match the resonance of the tool with the type of rock that you're mining, which gives it a little bit more of a purpose, although it just kind of seems like a little bit of a time waster when all you want to do is just blow through rocks and get that sweet goodness inside. Well, everybody, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If I missed anything, or if you have your own favorite things about 317 that you'd like to share with us, make sure to leave those down in the comments below, and let's talk about it down there. Of course, I stream Wednesdays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, so make sure to join me there, as well as at our Discord community. And if you'd like to help support what I do and you really enjoyed this video, make sure to like and become a subscriber, ring the bell never to miss anything in the future, and consider becoming a channel member with the blue join button down below, or even a patron. The links are just down in the description below for you, so please go ahead and check them out, and I hope to see you in the next video.